Hunting for a home anywhere between Boston and Cape Cod is an intense process. You are moving fast, touring houses, and trying to stand out in a deeply competitive market. When a seller finally accepts your offer, it feels like you have reached the finish line. Signing that initial contract is a major milestone. But the contract is only the beginning. You and the seller have agreed on a price, but now the bank financing your mortgage steps in. Before they fund the loan, they require an independent valuation to confirm what the property is actually worth. Lenders order an appraisal to verify that the home's value covers the requested loan amount. This step provides a practical snapshot of the property's worth based on market facts, helping the bank manage its financial risk. This matrix shows where the process often slows down. On the left, your offer is driven by future plans, bidding wars, and your connection to the space. On the right, the appraisal focuses on technical metrics. A licensed appraiser looks for specific facts. They measure square footage, log structural updates, and analyze the closed sale prices of similar homes in the same neighborhood. If the mathematical value they calculate does not reach the price you offered, your loan approval may be delayed or require new terms. A low appraisal brings the deal back to verifiable market data. It anchors the financing in historical facts, ensuring the loan matches the property's proven value, regardless of bidding war excitement. The engine driving this entire process is a calculation called the loan-to-value ratio, or LTV. This equation shows how the bank decides your loan terms. The calculation uses the appraised value as the baseline. Bidding over asking wins the home, but increases the risk of an appraisal gap where the bank's valuation falls short. When that gap appears, the bank will typically lend based on the lower number. You may then have to reconsider your down payment or renegotiate the deal. The loan-to-value ratio determines your interest rate and down payment. Since it's tied to the appraiser's finding, this number dictates your final financing structure. The data feeding that valuation is strictly local. Appraisers pull recent sales records starting in dense hubs like Boston and working outward. On the Cape, you find limited buildable land and high demand for water access. Buyers push prices higher to secure these specific geographic features. This graph charts a challenge in rising markets. The top line is current buyer demand. The bottom line is closed comparable sales data from months ago. The shaded gap between them means appraisals often come in below the current asking price. While this historical grounding protects buyers from overpaying based on market frenzy, it means you should enter a competitive market prepared for potential appraisal friction. Since the appraiser operates on technical formulas, you might wonder if there is any way to influence their final number before they arrive. This chart maps out your options. You do not need high-cost structural renovations to make a difference. Routine tasks like decluttering, deep cleaning, and organizing sit squarely in the high-impact, low-effort zone. Take this Cape Cod home as an example. Inside, the rooms felt tight. By applying a practical staging plan to improve the lighting and clear the floor space, the home felt more energetic and well-maintained. Appraisers do not add value for subjective decor. However, a property that is fresh, organized, and clearly cared for can influence the appraiser's opinion of the home's overall condition. Demonstrating visible care is a strategic move. It leads to a higher valuation by showing the home is well-maintained without requiring massive financial investment. If the appraiser's number comes back significantly lower than your contract price, you need to review your options quickly. This decision tree lays out the playbook. Your first move is taking the appraisal to the seller and negotiating a price reduction to better align with the bank's valuation. You can also formally challenge the report. This path is most effective if you find factual errors in the report, such as an incorrect bedroom count or missing square footage. Finally, if the price and the appraisal cannot be reconciled through negotiation, you may have to bring extra cash to the closing table to cover the difference between the loan amount and the purchase price. Knowing these steps ahead of time helps you stay focused. You can treat the appraisal report as a set of facts to be managed, rather than a cause for panic. If you are a first-time buyer with a strict budget, you should prioritize your appraisal contingency in the contract. Being prepared to walk away or renegotiate protects your financial health. Using emergency savings to cover a valuation shortfall can leave you vulnerable after the purchase. If you are bidding in a hyper-competitive zone, calculate your maximum cash on hand before you make an offer. This helps you understand how much of an appraisal gap you can realistically handle. Accounting for appraisal risk early on lets you move toward closing with more certainty. You can negotiate clearly and secure financing without unexpected delays. Understanding the mechanics of valuation gives you more control. You can treat the appraisal as a predictable part of the negotiation, rather than an unexpected barrier to your purchase.